everybody, it's Wendy. Welcome. I am going to make a crazy card today. I'm using 4 of our brand new stamp sets. Country Livin', Mixed Drinks, Endless Thanks, it's not brand new, and Biggest Birthday Ever. Now, when you see how I use these stamps, you're probably going to be like, what on earth was she thinking? Um, but I saw these images in the catalog and I just had this idea of what I wanted to make and tried to make it all come together. So we're going to start out by stamping this mason jar kind of upper area of the corner of this cardstock. And this is just Whisper White cardstock that I'm using. And then I have Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to stamp it off on a piece of scratch paper first, and then stamp it onto the cup. Now, the point of this obviously is to make it look like there's fluid in the cup. You could call this lemonade, beer, whatever you want it to be. I really originally wanted the beer mug to be what went right here, but it was just simply too big. It was the mason size of this mason jar drink cup here is already pushing it. It's a little bit big for what I was doing, but I had to make it work. Okay, this is the plate from the Biggest Birthday Ever stamp set. And when I saw that, it made me think of a tabletop. So I was like, well, I'm going to use this as a tabletop. So one of the things I like doing with my stamp sets is looking at them and seeing how else I can use them to make them go further than they were originally intended. And this is one of those ways of doing that. So there's also these little straight up and down, which I'm assuming are supposed to be candles from the Biggest Birthday Ever stamp set. And I used it as my table leg. And I stamped it a couple times just to make it a little bit longer. And then I'm going to do some more stamping and masking here. I'm stamping the boots from Country Livin', and I kind of tilted them back a little tiny bit and put them lower than the table leg because I kind of wanted them to look like they were in front of the table, not like right next to it. So I stamped those off to the side. And again, I mean, proportion-wise, this card really is not in proportion. The boots are obviously darn near as big as the table, and the cup on top is too big. But who cares? You get the overall feeling of this card is what I thought of is a cowboy coming in after a hard day's work and kicking his boots off and having a beer or a cold glass of lemonade. And so that's what inspired this card, I guess you could say, was the thought of that. Kind of reminds me of my husband, actually, except he would never drink beer out of a glass, except for at a brewery, which he does sometimes. But otherwise, it's out of a can because we are redneck like that, right? So I'm using soft suede ink here, and I inked up the hardwood background stamp, and now I'm stamping it off using the grid paper. And I'm going to bring that grid paper back in and then use the bottom part of my hardwood stamp set here and go over the top of the table leg and the boots where I've already masked those off. I should mention for the table, I stamped in Early Espresso ink. And the boots and the mug were stamped in tuxedo black memento ink. And so that's what I used to stamp all of this stuff. So now I am going to remove all my masks, and you can see that I have a little scene starting here. And I'm going to take my blender pen and kind of use it to fill in a few places on this table, and then we're going to also fill in the floor itself. I considered creating some sort of wallpaper to go in the background of this to meet at the floor at the bottom. But ultimately I decided to leave that alone because I really did not want to end up mucking up this card and making it a disaster. So now I'm just taking my blender pen and I'm going over the top of this cardstock to blend out all that color that is in the inked floor, the soft suede. Soft suede makes a great floor, by the way. It's like the perfect color. And then I'm going to use my soft suede ink pad to pick up some color and create some shadows. I did some shadows under the boots just so that, they looked a little more realistic, like they're sitting there, because there would be some sort of little shadow. And then I tried to do a little bit of shadowing around the table, which didn't turn out nearly as well, but that's life. And it's okay because it was the floor, and that's not the focal point of this card anyway. So I'm using right here some early espresso ink to create the base of my table, because obviously I've never seen a table just standing on one leg. So I had to make this look a little bit more like a table. And I did that by using my blender pen, dipping it in the ink, and then taking and kind of making like a, I don't know, it's not really even a half moon shape, just a little bit of a rounded base down there at the bottom to make it look like the table had something that it was standing on. So after I got my shadows in and got my table base there, I wanted to get my sentiment put on and do my Copic coloring on my boots. So I used Dapper Denim for my sentiment, and I used that Endless Thanks stamp set because it has this really nice sentiment, and it says, "You're a true friend." And I don't know, something about this image just made me think of like friendship and sorry about my head there. I had to get over the top of that to restamp it because I kind of missed a spot. And so anyway, I got it all dealt with there the way I wanted it, and now I'm just going to do my Copic coloring. So I don't know which Copic markers I used to do this, to be really honest with you. I don't know the colors. I always assume that nobody's really watching my videos for Copic coloring anyway, because I'm so new at it. So they're just a bunch of different brown colors. I started with a light brown, and then of course you can see I really sped up the video because I know that this is not anybody's favorite part. But I have to say, putting shadows on these boots was super easy because there were already little lines drawn on where kind of like the boots would be wrinkled, for example. And so you can just add shadows by adding in the darker areas of the marker are going to go where you want a shadow. So I went ahead and I did that and filled all of those things in and just kept kind of going through my different markers. I had a really light brown, a darker brown than that, and then a really dark brown. And I just kind of kept adding them and doing shadowing. One thing you want to do, I know for sure, that I can give you a tip on, is up there in the top of the boot where the boot's open. That's where you want to make it really dark, because that's how it would be. You give it dimension that way. It's like you're looking into the boot, or the boot's almost like 3D. So here at the end, I'm just going over everything I've already colored using my lightest brown marker. And I think this is actually E31 is this marker. And I just kind of keep going back, going over it a little bit more, adding a little bit more shadows, going back, adding a little bit more color. And the cool thing about Copics is the colors layer. So the boots just kind of got darker and everything blended together super nice. So I was really happy with how the boots turned out. I'm using dimensionals to pop up this card onto a Dapper Denim card base. I love the Dapper Denim color. It's a great color. And then I kind of messed up here. Like, I wanted to add some blue to that cup because I really wanted it to look like glass, but I'm just going to be honest, I haven't learned how to do that yet. There is a way that you can do that, and I mean, Sandy Allnock is brilliant at it, but I'm still learning. So I added some and it looks okay, but it wasn't great. So anyway, I got all done, and that was my card. So this is a great card to give to a buddy, a very masculine card, and you could do a happy birthday at the top and it would be the perfect guy card. Hey, thanks so much for watching. I hope you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I would love it if you gave me a thumbs up on this video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.